I've been thinking about my situation. I realized that things are really quite complex. Indeed, I'm pretty sure that British intelligence are mind controlling me to believe that Russian intelligence are mind controlling me. So I'm not entirely sure what's going on. Indeed, I also believe that British intelligence are mind controlling me to believe that it's Russian intelligence using the psychotronic beams on me when it's actually British intelligence that are using the psychotronic beams on me. Indeed, this all seems to be part of the police state agenda, and psychotronic beaming is specifically being directed at me for my exposures of Wiltshire Police. That was the catalyst for the beginning of the psychotronic beaming around the end of July 2020. Indeed, the video I posted that began the psychotronic attacks on me in July 2020 did have rather a lot of content about the cartel operations of the Devizes Police Department. And therefore, it seems that this psychotronic beaming of me, which is ongoing, is part of a psychological operation coordinated by British intelligence to protect the networks of Devizes Police. Indeed, it seems like the exposures of the Devizes Police network could open up a can of worms which would reach to the very heart of the British government itself. And indeed, because of my determination to talk about these networks, it seems that British intelligence have designated me a target. Indeed, I would have already been a target in a sense for British intelligence anyway, due to my original mind control programming at Grenville Lodge in 2012 and 13, and ongoing programming sessions between the years 2015 and 2019, where I was programmed with Nazi fetishist ideology and underwent behavior modification programs to behave in a certain way. Indeed, it seems that the British intelligence services are programming schizophrenics up and down the length of the country for various purposes. Indeed, much of this has to do with the Gladio 2 program, whereby schizophrenics are programmed to behave in certain ways which will see them considered dangerous to the population, and therefore the population will ask the government for stricter security measures to counter these schizophrenics that are acting up. And basically, the schizophrenics will all be put into institutions, and as a consequence of these stricter security measures, supposedly for schizophrenics, the British government is able to roll out greater surveillance measures on the overall population. So anyone who's going along with the media display about paranoid schizophrenics being dangerous and unnaturally violent, anyone going along with this mass media agenda is basically falling into the intelligence trap. Indeed, intelligence services wish for the population to believe that paranoid schizophrenics are just uncontrollable, dangerous people, when this isn't actually the case. Indeed, instances of violence by paranoid schizophrenics are usually due to societal factors caused by the marginalization of paranoid schizophrenics by wider society and the way they are treated by wider society. And also many of the really violent acts committed by paranoid schizophrenics are usually due to mind control programming by the British intelligence services, specifically for this Operation Gladio purpose. Indeed, it's quite interesting to consider all of this. Indeed, my mind control programming seems to have been specifically designed a lot of the time for this purpose also, and it's really quite scary to consider the lengths that British intelligence will go to. Indeed, the British intelligence services are engaged basically in a conflict against the schizophrenic population of the United Kingdom, which is rooted in the psychopolitical agenda of the British intelligence services, who wish to implement a certain state structure within the United Kingdom, basically a police state form of operations. Indeed, it seems that there may be a shift in the behaviours of the intelligence services in the coming years. Indeed, the British intelligence services may take a form of structure which will be more like the way that the KGB was in Russia. Indeed, MI5 will basically become the British KGB and will have the powers to arrest in the same way that the police are able to. And therefore, anyone who's going against the psychopolitical state ideal and the police state ideal will basically be interned in some way and will most likely become a test subject for experimentation by psychopolitical government agencies. So this seems to be much of how things are playing out in the United Kingdom. And indeed, returning to my targeting by British intelligence, indeed, I believe that networks of Masonic lodges have a lot to do with the targeting. Also, indeed, I was receiving some very hostile glares from initiates of Wyvern Lodge in the town I'm dwelling in yesterday. They did not look pleased to see me, but I could tell that they knew something about what was going on with me. They were truly evil, hideous looking human beings, as are most Freemasons, and you have to realize that the police state is very much a Masonic entity. There is an overarching alignment between the British police, the British intelligence services, and the British Freemasons. Indeed, the British police, the British intelligence, and the British Freemasons are all one conglomerate. And these networks are all running the operations that I was trying to expose in devices. And indeed, exposure of these networks would most probably be deemed a national security risk, hence why everything that I've talked about has been covered up by the British government. And I have just been cast as a lunatic and basically socially isolated on purpose by British intelligence services working with networks of Masonic lodges and the police have caused me to become socially isolated on purpose. Indeed, they've basically scared the population out of having any interaction with me in the street. And the idea behind this is to eventually send me completely crazy so that I behave in a certain way in public, which will fuel the Gladio agenda of the British intelligence services against the schizophrenic population, and will also serve to give the British police a reason to arrest me, and therefore pass me into the hands of the British psychiatric establishment, which is itself a branch of the British intelligence services, and therefore I can be dealt with and will most probably be lobotomized. So this is kind of how everything seems to be working out. Indeed, one must consider the psychopolitical agenda, which the information of which I've gleaned from reading the Soviet brainwashing manual, but it seems just as likely that this is a blueprint for British intelligence operations, also the psychopolitics. It's very similar to the system that the British intelligence services are introducing. It is entirely psychopolitics that is governing things in the United Kingdom, especially in regards to the attitudes of the state to the psychiatric patient population. It's all really quite scary when you consider what is going on. Indeed, there seems to be numerous instances of schizophrenics doing really crazy things all over the country, and this means that something is wrong. Indeed, something is wrong with society, and also it seems that these paranoid schizophrenics are being programmed by British intelligence. And to make it worse, I believe that the British intelligence services are programming these paranoid schizophrenics with certain screen memories. So these paranoid schizophrenics are believing that it's Russian intelligence programming them when it's actually British intelligence programming them. So basically, the memories that the paranoid schizophrenics have of the programming is of Russian operatives, when it was actually British operatives that were doing the programming. So this is what I'm beginning to consider now. Was I actually programmed by Russian intelligence, as I was beginning to believe? Or was I simply programmed by British intelligence to believe that Russian intelligence were programming me? Therefore, it was British intelligence who were coordinating my programming. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, I have yet to come to an entire conclusion on this matter, and this is part of the genius of intelligence operations, the fact that the target can never work out exactly who is targeting them. So these beams, is it British intelligence or Russian intelligence? When I think about it logically, I guess both would have reason to do that to me. But considering my location, etc., it is seeming to be more likely that it is British intelligence who are coordinating the psychotronic radiation weaponry, basically, that is being forced into my system via some sort of brainwave link to technology. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but my guess is some sort of Wi-Fi satellite connection. It's very interesting to consider. Also, I believe they have complete control over this laptop and are beaming things through the webcam, basically. So it's all a very interesting state of affairs indeed. I believe that they want me to go totally crazy, but I'm managing to stay calm despite all the attempts through the psychotronic harassment and the social isolation to drive me crazy. It seems that I'm going to get through this, and I'm not going to let the British intelligence services defeat me, and I'm not going to let the British intelligence services force me into these psychiatric hospitals, which are actually British intelligence run hellholes. Indeed, the mental hospital system and the entire psychiatric establishment is run directly by British intelligence, and much of the function of the psychiatric establishment is to deal with test subjects of British intelligence, mind control programs, test subjects of British intelligence, synthetic drug programs, test subjects of British intelligence, psychotronic weapons programs, and mind-controlled schizophrenic super spy operatives of British intelligence, and various other operatives of British intelligence who have found out that there is something murky going on within British intelligence. So it would be interesting to really be revealed how much of the psychiatric patient population is somehow connected to British intelligence. It seems to be rather a lot. They are all victims of British intelligence, and they continue to be victims of British intelligence via the pharmaceutical drugging, which is a chemical lobotomy, and the forced drugging through antipsychotic substances, which, as stated, is a chemical lobotomy. And this is part of the intelligence agency connection to Big Pharma. It's all interlinking. I'm beginning to figure out that basically everything I talk about is interlinking. Indeed, the intelligence services have created this massive web, and is basically a huge deception. Indeed, it's interesting to consider what I was stating about my exposures of Device's police over the years, and the fact that this has all been covered up by the British intelligence structure. It's interesting to consider that I do not believe the intelligence services were expecting me to begin to pinpoint these activities. So they had to implement some form of damage control, because revelations such as the revelations about Device's police, revelations about the police force, could have enormous ramifications for the British intelligence, British police, British Masonic agenda, which is interlinked and aligned. Indeed, the British police, the British intelligence services, and the British Masonic lodges are all in this together, with the eventual idea to create an outright police state run by basically a neo KGB entity within the United Kingdom, with elements of the Gestapo also. That's going to be the British police, and technocratic elements, and generally a terrible environment with mass brainwashing and the use of psychotronic weapons to target anyone who speaks out against the state. Basically, it's psychopolitics. Indeed, man is to be rendered to the state and solely to the state. Man is to exist as an organism functioning as part of the state body, not as an individual, which is really quite disturbing when you think of it. Indeed, the British police are some of the most disgusting people on the face of the planet. Indeed, you think of police brutality as being a foreign thing, but British police really are terrible. What actually goes on with the British police is completely covered up and is unknown to the public. But the British police are absolutely terrible, horrendous human beings. And indeed, these redneck police in the small towns seem to be particularly dirty, basically. They are really, really terrible people. Indeed, in Devizes, the police were basically running a surveillance town. Indeed, there are a lot of people in Devizes who have committed crimes so heinous that they can't be put in prison, because they'd most probably be killed if they were put in prison. So the people who commit these kind of crimes that are so terrible that they can't even be put in prison are usually moved to Devizes, and they basically act as a snitch network for Devizes police. Indeed, they are basically like Devizes police's own Stasi network of informants. And it's very interesting. I believe Alex Day is one of these people. I believe he committed an atrocity, a crime so terrible that he couldn't be put in prison. So he was moved to Devizes, and Devizes police basically set him up as their own drug dealer, which is very interesting to consider indeed. So it's interesting that the drug dealers in Devizes, some of them are people who have committed such terrible crimes that they couldn't be put in prison. So they are basically living in the dominion of the police. Wiltshire Police's basically own network of really terrible people that operate as a Stasi network of informants for Devizes police, so that Devizes police can know if anyone is about to interrupt the activities of their cartel operations within Devizes. Indeed, it seems the majority of the police presence, which is overwhelming in Devizes, is to protect the rings that Devizes police are running. Much of it centered around Walter Rose and Sons butcher shop and the Sidmouth Street strip, as I term it. Various interconnecting kebab shops, barber shops, and curry houses, which are all involved in this organ and human trafficking syndicate that is being run by Wiltshire Police. Indeed, it's so very interesting to consider. British intelligence are an enemy of the British people. Indeed, the British police are also an enemy of the British people, as are the networks of Masonic lodges. Indeed, people in Britain have too much faith in these institutions, and this faith in these institutions, combined with a dumbing down of the public, has allowed for the behavior of these people to basically become open. Indeed, previously these networks had kept their activities low key, but now they are basically just flaunting their power in the eyes of the public, which says a lot about the way things are going in the future, with outright police brutality to become common, and an overarching intelligence cryptocracy acting as its own police force also, and Masonic networks most probably reintroducing public ritual human sacrifice or something. It's basically, the world is going crazy, and not in a good way. Indeed, it seems that Britain is going to be a focal point for a huge conflagration, which I've explained in various other previous videos. And it's really quite scary. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there.